All right. So we are back. I am so excited about this interview because this woman has made some incredible strides throughout our working relationship. And I am not taking that credit. It is all her. She has really rolled up her sleeves and done the work. I think you are going to find her story to be really inspiring, really educational, and I think a lot of you are going to be able to relate to her. So, thank you so much, Kim, for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time. And
Sure.
would you mind just introducing yourself and
Sure.
tell us a little bit about where you were before we started working together?
Sure. So my name is Kim. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. 52 years old, and when I had to figure out the math, I kind of figured, I have been struggling with my weight loss for 30 years. It's always been a struggle. And so, a little bit about my family history. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer and struggled with that for 10 years before she passed away when she was 47. So she was super young. She was diagnosed when she was 36, passed away when she was 47. I was only 21 at the time. So I'm an only child, and later on down the road, my father was diagnosed with Parkinson's, which is in the brain, which is not something you can replace. You can't get a transplant, and ultimately he passed away in 2010 from a stroke. And so, in that kind of working through his illness and my mother's illness, I started to really realize the importance of health and wellness, even though I was struggling with it always myself. And then 9 years ago, I was actually diagnosed with breast cancer myself. And so I took a really aggressive stance with that because I didn't want to do the same struggle that my mother had had. And then so I truly believe that the nutrition component of my life was what affected my breast cancer, because I was actually tested for the gene. I didn't carry the gene. So I really think that that had a lot to do with it. So I would say probably for the last decade, I have really drilled into metabolic health, wellness. My husband's kind of in the same vein because his mother had Alzheimer's. So we're always looking and researching people that can kind of help us make our lives better and our health better. So, but I still kept struggling with the weight. I would bring it down a little bit and then it would come back up. I couldn't sustain it. And it was always like, I would eat well for maybe 5 days out of the week, and then I would splurge on the weekends, and I couldn't figure out how to get back on track again. So I always looked at it as other issues too. Was it the tamoxifen that I was taking? Was it the medication? Was it because I had breast cancer? And I was asking doctors to run blood tests. There's got to be something going on. It's my thyroid. That's probably why I can't lose weight. So I was always looking for a reason for why I couldn't get it off and keep it off. I had invested so much money in memberships, personal trainers. I was working out twice. Like if I worked out twice a day, I could bring down the weight. I signed up for Weight Watchers. I did MetaFast. I have done all the different programs. I mean, you named it. I've tried it. I was busy working, and I just got tired of that constant struggle. It shouldn't be that hard. Like it shouldn't be that much work. I will say that I did believe in the lie that it was calories in, calories out. And it did take a lot of researching to determine that, that's not really accurate. But there's so many fads out there, and there's so many people telling you so many different things. How do you know what to believe anymore? So I would say that, it was like a good 9 years, and my husband researching it from his perspective, and we would compare the information that we would gather. But I just got tired of, prepping every Sunday, measuring out all my food into little containers. It was just so much work. Like weight loss should not be something that I have to work on 24/7. And I just got tired of thinking about it. Like it irritated me, the amount of time and energy I had to spend thinking and preparing. I wanted it just to be something that kind of came to me naturally. And so when I came across your information on Self-Made You, I thought it was really interesting because you had all the pieces of the puzzle that I had been working with for 9, 10 years. Like your data and your research was all like valid to me because I had the same people that I was looking at. And so you had all the pieces of the puzzle and I'd been putting it together. But I think that your coaching part, the mental part, the emotional part was the part that I didn't realize how I was self-sabotaging. I didn't realize how much of what I thought was creating the struggle, was creating more struggle for me.
Right.
So I felt like, this was a chance for me to have someone that knows all the metabolic, the data, the numbers, the stuff that's necessarily for weight loss, but would add in the mental part, that life coach that I really needed to help me kind of work through that.
Yeah. And so was it pretty early on that you recognized that you had made the right decision?
Oh, yes. I mean, I'm a data person. So like I'm all about looking at the numbers. So basically the program itself, you have a spreadsheet, which I love Excel. So spreadsheets are great. So, but what I noticed is, I've had MyFitnessPal and all those other things, right? All those other kind of trackers that I would become frustrated when I'd put in the information and it wasn't giving me back the data that I wanted. But yours is simplistic. It's very easy to use. You are testing your blood. Your blood can't lie to you. I feel like a scale ultimately can give you misinformation because you put so much value in that number, and that number is affected by so much more than what you ate.
Right.
So the blood, the ketones, the glucose, that data, and then and having to track how I thought about that and how my thoughts and feelings were impacting the choices that I made that day. So the thought downloads and then seeing how that all correlated together to give me results. So it was very quick that, I started noticing that, yes, blueberries can make my glucose go up. So that was really, really impactful for me. It was very quick. It was almost immediate, the data.
Yeah.
And it was shocking because my husband and I are pretty healthy eaters. Like we weren't heavy in the beans and the grains and all that kind of stuff. And when we checked and he checked his too, I was like, oh my gosh, yours is so high. Like, and he's super good. Like he's a super eater. He doesn't ever eat anything bad. And still the sugar levels were super high on that.
Right. Yeah. That's what
I was all about.
That we all are biologically made up differently. And
yeah.
Have to understand yourself on all levels to be able to make a sustainable change. I mean it. And that's why I have you do things like checking your blood regularly so that we can look for the patterns and taking your weight every single day, because then I can help you understand that you're making that number mean something. And
absolutely. And it meant something to me every time. Like I would stay away from it because it would affect how I would have my day. If that number was up one day, I would be just down on myself all day. And if it was down, I was like, hey, I can do anything. Like it's a free day, right? Then I might go eat something that I wouldn't normally eat because it was down. I was like, oh, I'm down. So that was probably the first fear that I had that I overcame when you told me I was going to have to measure that on a daily basis. I was like, oh, that might make me really cranky. Like that might really affect my well-being. So yeah, but that data, the spreadsheets, and the conversations that we have around the data that's gathered, I think is impactful because then you understand what that stuff really means. And you're, as a life coach or as the coaching component of it, you remove the stigma and you removed the self-loathing and drama. Yeah, it's just data. It's not drama.
Yeah.
I love that part. Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite parts is that it's just data. It's not drama. Yeah. Don't give it more power than it has.
Yeah. And I use those concepts. The result of wanting to lose weight becomes a vehicle of application. You could take that exact same concept and apply it professionally. You could apply it to relationships. And I love that part of it. Like I am, first and foremost, I'm a life coach. I want you to feel equipped to get different results from your life. So if you can learn a concept and apply it in a lot of different ways, you'll take your learning to a different level. And so that's where I really get jazzed. I'm also a data science junkie. And so, of course, one of the biggest sought after results out there right now is wanting to lose weight, is to be more metabolically fit so that you can fight off chronic illnesses and diseases and so forth. But I can show you how to do that through science. It's the mind math that I really get excited about. But I also think that it takes precision. You have to understand they all have to come together and it has to be precise. So that's what I really want people to understand is that, yes, there's, like Kim said, she kept saying, I've done all the research. I've invested in all the things. I think that there's this missing piece. What is it? And multiple times throughout our working relationship, I've gotten texts from you saying, this is the missing piece that I'm missing.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it is. The program was an investment in my personal future from an emotional, mental, and physical well-being. It's just that it just so happened to be that it was the weight loss component that you were using to train me on how to treat myself better. And I have spent so much money on wasted fad diets. There are programs that didn't last. There are things that I quickly realized that it was that personal coaching that was the key to unlocking everything. And you've helped me with non-weight loss things. So I know that it has affected me in different areas of my life. And it's almost like the weight loss part hasn't become the primary focus of my world anymore. It used to always be that. It was always that, right? Like if I could just lose the weight, then this would be happening. And now I've realized that it's that personal mindset, the emotional and the mental coaching that is really going to affect the rest of my life in all areas of my life, I guess I should say.
Yeah. So how does that feel now? Like, what is it to have that level of understanding?
Freedom. It's like a weight that's kind of lifted off your shoulders a little bit, like, because the struggle of losing weight can be so heavy and so wearing on you. And then to know that also that the community that we have the women and the people that are part of this, I enjoy seeing them, like, their little pop-ins when everybody kind of checks in. Janet and then Rhonda will share like her recipes and ideas so that you don't feel like you're completely alone in the whole struggle. And it's just been a community of people that I've enjoyed getting to know, and I actually look forward to it. Like if nobody's checked in, I'm like, hey, where is everybody? So yeah, I realize that the thoughts that I have are not only for me. Other people have the same ones. We all have the same struggles. So why not have somebody that can come alongside you and kind of help you get through those? And, when you're going through the process or something becomes a little bit difficult and you kind of chime in and say, oh, I'm on the struggle bus today. And somebody else can come back and say, you know what, you got this, like you can handle it. And it's something that I have access to any time of day, anywhere I am. There's no reason, I have no excuse to not participate because it's there for me whenever and wherever I need it. So it's kind of removed all the excuses, obstacles that I have over time given myself. And the financial aspect for me was probably one of my first concerns because I've invested so many other times. And so how is this going to be any different than what I've done before? And I haven't thought twice about the investment. Literally never regretted it. It has been just very helpful in all areas of my life. And it's actually eliminated a lot of the money that I've spent on things that were wasteful, right? Like diets, personal trainers, packaged foods. The freedom that it's given has been just really helpful.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Right now, a lot of us can't even go outside of our home and work out because of the restrictions. And
And exercise is now fun. Like, I don't do it because I'm not punishing myself for doing it, or for, having to do it because I ate something that I'm upset about. It's almost like you're like, okay, don't count everything. Don't, exercise. You can't out exercise your hormones, is basically the way that I feel about it. And the other part too is that you're teaching me skills that I can keep for myself. It's not that I wouldn't, love to continue my relationship, but you're giving me the tools that I need to be successful. And so I don't have, like, with a personal trainer, I always felt like, I was always relying on them to push me through my exercise, right? Like, at some point you got to be able to do it on your own. Right. And so I feel like the self-coaching, I catch myself and, how's that thought serving you? Or, how's that working for you? And being able to share it with my family, my friends, and kind of, I find it affects me more and more on a daily basis in different ways, all kinds of different ways. And I see it in my friends too. Well, they'll be talking about something to themselves and like, how's that thought serving you? Like, or we can do hard things, or, we need to change the way you think about that.
That is like a beautiful illustration of how you've been transformed on a mental and emotional level. Tell us from a physical level what kind of changes you have recognized.
So I'm not kidding you when I tell you that I have not weighed this amount since probably before college, like high school, first year of college, maybe. And my mother passed away my senior year in college. And so from that point forward, it was just always a struggle. There was just emotional eating, and I tied so much to it. And I just, the numbers coming down on the scale were shocking to me. Like, I just couldn't believe that it was really happening, that the things that you had told us to do, the measuring, the data, that just looking at it, and it was working. It was really miraculous. Like, just couldn't believe that it had occurred. I feel healthier. I'm able to get through my workouts. There was that fear, like, what should I do? Do I need to eat? Will I get woozy? Those kind of things. The hangry, like, being, I have to eat all the time. I might get cranky if I don't eat. The fact that, I feel better and lighter. It's really a weight being lifted off, not just the physical part, but the emotional weight as well. So yeah, no, I'm feeling pretty good after trying to struggle with it for 30 years.
Good for you. Where do you see yourself going from here? What do you have another goal right now as a master, which you're in the master's program? We just set our impossible goals, and you don't have to share that, but give me broadly, like, where do you see yourself going?
I feel like service is my love language. So that's something that I enjoy doing. I'm looking at now outside of just the weight, the number on the scale, because my body's feeling so much better. It's opening up my mind to other things that I could be doing with my life, and other areas of my life that I might want to start working on, because I'm not all hyper focused on how to lose weight anymore. So now I'm like, there's maybe other things to life other than losing weight. How crazy could that be? And so, yeah, the impossible goal, well, now that I've done this, I feel like, well, maybe there aren't so many impossible things out there for me, and it's all about how I'm thinking about it. Because this program is like the last program that you're going to need for anything that you're trying to accomplish in your life. It's not only about the weight. So, okay, we get the weight done, and then, all right, Tracy, what else should we work on? Like, okay, and asking you, well, what should I work on? Like, what's the next thing I should think about? It's been really, really life-changing, very helpful.
Yeah. So anybody who's out there saying, I never thought about hiring a life coach to help me lose weight, what would you say to them?
So, I was an only child, and both of my parents were very close. I was very, close to my parents. And I have to say that losing my mom at a young age, was difficult, because, I got married after that, and I didn't have my mom around. My dad was great. But after losing my dad, I felt like, those people in my life that would give me direction. I would always talk to them about where to go, what should I do, how should I, they were my coaches. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like even having lost them, having you as a life coach, having the program there has really helped me build that confidence that I have the answers within me. Like, I just need to think about it, have somebody to help me talk through those things. So I feel like everyone needs, it's like therapy, it's like book club, Bible study, all of that, all rolled into one, where, you're also going to hold me accountable. You're not going to let me get off easy and be like, oh, you'll be fine later. You make me stop sabotaging the thoughts in my mind that are not going to get me anywhere. That thought isn't serving me anymore. So how do I need to realign my thoughts? And it's also very, it's also something that it has to be believable, right? It's not about the actions. You're not giving me these steps that I have to take. And if I go through those steps, then it will automatically happen. You're making me stop and change the way I think about the whole thing, creating something that I truly believe in. Otherwise, it's not going to make a difference. And then when I believe in that thought, everything else just kind of falls into place. Right. The thoughts changed the actions, which changed the results. And it also changed the way I felt about it. So there was no frustration, resentment, aggravation. It just became easier. It's just easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, you hit on so many points that I'm sure probably can't even be comprehended by some of the people who are listening, because you almost live it to understand it.
You do. I probably wouldn't believe it if somebody was saying it all either. But what I've done is I've shared that experience with my friends, and people have noticed a change in me. They've even commented, and it's not just the physical change. It's the way that your perspective on things. And 2020 has been a hard year for everybody. I just think that the way that you look at the things that are happening in your life can really change the outcome for yourself. And the life coaching part is the key to the puzzle. It's the magic pill. It's everything. It's been really great. And the community of people are also super positive, reinforcing.
Yeah, I agree. I keep saying, I think we might just take over the world.
I think so.
Self-made people, we are going to take over the world, which would be amazing, because ultimately what I teach you how to take responsibility for your results. Now, that is not in a condescending or consequential type way. I'm not contexting it that way. I'm telling you that any result that you want for yourself, you can create. That's what I mean when I say I teach you how to take responsibility for your own results. You are becoming self-made by learning how to do this. And this is, for lack of a better word, it's magic.
It is. And I've never been a person that's like overly, using excuses all the time. I'm kind of like, put your big girl panties on and come on out. You need to get busy. But I still obviously had some areas that I needed to readjust the way that I was thinking about those circumstances, because I just kind of was like, oh, well, I think it was one of the first lies that you said, this just might be the way things are. Like I'm just destined to do, this might be my destiny. So I really don't have any control over that, which you've got to change that. You can change that thought.
Yep. You really can. Well, Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Honestly, I don't think I could have said any of this better. So I so appreciate you taking the time, first and foremost, but being willing to share your story. It is
absolutely
meaningful. I have enjoyed every minute of working with you. I hope that we work together for a very long time, but you've got this, like, it's all within you. So I really appreciate the fact that you are out there sharing it with the world too, because that is one of my deepest hopes, is that the people that I coach goes out and shares it with the people who mean something to them, because I do think that that's how we will make a bigger impact. So thank you so much for doing that as well.
Absolutely. And I'm happy to do it. I think everybody needs a little bit of happiness in their life, and this certainly can bring that to everyone, no matter where they are and what they're doing. So thank you for the program.
Oh, my pleasure. Now, Kim is in the student union. If you have any questions specifically for Kim,
please
tag her. You can talk to her. You obviously within the student union, you can talk to one another, but yeah, I know Kim is a wealth of information. So reach out if you have any specific questions. I do get a lot of women who ask me about, they're cancer survivors, and they ask me a lot about the drugs that they may be on currently, that they've been on, how will that impact? And
I've done a lot of work with that.
Yeah,
I've done a lot of work with that.
there are
My mother's side, and then also for myself. And there's just a lot of people, and I am happy to talk about any of that. I'll
Excellent.
give you the honest truth.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kim. It was
Thank
so
you.
good to see you. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.